Currently, students have the most to say about what career paths they take, but as human capital, their paths increasingly will be directed by society via school-to-work, outcome-based educational programs so that they, quote, demonstrate certain skills, end quote. A leading outcome-based education consultant today, Harvard University professor Howard Gardner, who was involved in the infamous MACOS, or MACOS project, wrote Frames of Mind, the theory of multiple intelligences. In it, he proposed that ultimately the educational plans that are pursued need to be orchestrated across various interest groups of the society so that they can, taken together, help the society to achieve its larger goals. That's called social engineering in simple terms that you can understand. He goes on to say, individual profiles must be considered in the light of goals pursued by the wider society, and sometimes, in fact, individuals with gifts in certain directions must nonetheless be guided along other, less favored paths, simply because the needs of the culture are particularly urgent in that realm at that time, end quote. In other words, ladies and gentlemen, even though one may have the desire and skills to choose one career, if society needs individuals in an other, less favored career, then the individual should be guided toward those other careers. This attitude has caused criticism of school to work, as Margaret Terry Orr of the Institute on Education and the Economy at Columbia University's Teachers College remarked, quote, "Not everyone embraces school to work. There is a deep fear we are going to track children into dead-end careers," end quote. I'm telling you right now, it's exactly what they're going to do. Relevant to the type of careers into which a student may be guided due to the, quote, needs, end quote, of her or his society at a particular time, Robert Holland wrote in the Richmond Times-Dispatch, February the 19th, 1997, and I quote, "Out in Las Vegas, Renee Tucker tells me that her daughter, Darcy, recently was pulled out of a geography class without parental consent to be administered a computerized assessment of career possibilities. Darcy wants to become a veterinarian, but the computer said she ought to become a bartender or waitress, and it spat out a list of courses she ought to take in high school toward that end. Mrs. Tucker said, quote, "We're Christians, and the school stepped on my toes as a parent. It is my job to direct my child's career path, and it would not be in her best interest to be a bartender," end quote. Ah, but it might be in Nevada's best interest. You see, given the huge hospitality needs driven by the gambling and the entertainment industry, it just might be in the best interest of government. Right? Of course, the federal government isn't promoting school to work as something imposed upon the people by Washington, but rather as partnerships among members of communities. This is their deceptive language. Anytime you go to any meeting where there is supposed to be a public discourse on the benefits, the merits, or the distractions, or the derogatory points concerning these things, believe me when I tell you that the audience is seated. The whole meeting was planned and will be controlled through its course to present a false consensus for and in favor of school to work and all of these programs that they want. And unless you are an astute, very smart judge of human nature and a very, very keen observer, you'll never know it. You better prepare yourselves to confront these people. Take back your school districts. Educate your children in what they need to learn to succeed in society, become what they want to become, not what someone else thinks they ought to be. Because pretty soon, it will shift from ought to must, to jail term if you don't, or for parents if they stand in the way. They'll be breaking the law and going to prison. Eventually, that's exactly what's going to happen. The September 1997 issue of Community Update, a United States Department of Education newsletter, announced a September 16th satellite town meeting entitled Back to School, Families and Communities Working Together. The letter notes that U.S. Secretary of Education Richard Riley and panelists will emphasize the great need for community-wide partnerships. The Learning Channel will rebroadcast the September satellite town meeting on October 28th, and they did. The United States Department of Education produced the Satellite Town Meeting Series in partnership with the National Alliance of Business and the Center for Workforce Preparation. Most Americans never saw it. Well, I hope I've given you food for thought. We will continue with this tomorrow on the hour of the time. Don't miss it. If you know somebody who has school-age children, make sure they're listening to 101.1 FM. Good night, folks, and God bless each and every single one of you.